adding and subtracting integers. So on the board, I'm showing you a yellow tile which represents 1 positive and a red tile which represents 1 negative. Now, when we have 1 positive and 1 negative, that gives us 0. And throughout this, I'm going to call that a 0 pair. So the first example, really straightforward. We have 4 positives to represent 4, and we're going to add on 2 positives to represent the 2. And as you can see, 4 plus 2 does indeed give you 6. Positive 6. Our next question is 5. So I'm going to show 5 positives to represent number 5, and then we're going to add on 4 negatives. So there's our 5 positives, and then we're going to add on 4 negatives. Now we know a positive and a negatives one positive, 1 negative gives you a 0 pair. There's a 0 pair there, 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 and there. That's all equal to 0. So what we were left with is 1 positive. So 5 plus negative 4 is equal to 1. Now we have negative 6 plus 2. So there we have 6 negatives, and then I'm going to add on 2 positives. And again, we're going to cancel out our 0 pairs. We have 0 pair there and there, and as you can see, we're left with 4 negatives. So negative 6 plus 2 gives you negative 4. Now, the next example, we have 2 subtract 4. Now, we don't have enough to take away 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add on enough 0 pairs to allow me to do that. So I'm going to add on another 2 0 pairs, which means I now have enough there to subtract 4. So 2 take away 4, I'm going to take away 4 positives, I'm left with negative 2. And our last example here, we have negative 5. And I want to subtract 3 negatives. It's quite straightforward. Just take away 3 negatives. And as you can see, we're left with negative 2. Sorry, one more example. So we start with 3 negatives. And I want to subtract 5 negatives. Like the example before, I don't have enough there, so I'm going to add in another 2 0 pairs. So I'm not actually changing its value, because remember, a 0 pair is equal to 0. So now I have enough to take away 5 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm left with 2 positives. So negative 3 subtract negative 5 is 2. Okay, now I'm going to give you the opportunity to try some yourself. I'll get 4 examples there. If you press pause just now, try these examples, and then once you're ready to go through your answers, hit play again. So the first question you had was negative 6 plus 4. So if you drew out 6 negatives, and then you added on 4 positives, there we go. And then you should have seen that you had 4 0 pairs, which you cancel out. You're left with 2 negatives. So negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. The next example you had was positive 7. The board's acting up a wee bit. So we have 7 positives, and we're going to add in 3 negatives. And as you can see, you have 3 0 pairs, which cancel out. They're equal to 0, and you're left with 4 positives, so your answer is equal to 4. Your third example was negative 3, and you wanted to subtract negative 7, and you didn't have enough, so you should have added on 4 0 pairs. which would then allow you to subtract -7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you should be left with +4. And your very last example was 2 subtract 8, and again you didn't have enough to subtract 8, so you should have added in 6 zero pairs. Let's just do this quickly. 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then obviously the negatives to go along with them to make them zero pairs. So then it then allows you to subtract 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're left with 6 negatives. So 2 subtract 8 gives you -6.